Toss-up 1.
Big bar.
In 2019, this athlete cited happiness as a reason for ending a partnership with coach Sasha Bajin. This then 20-year-old athlete was in tears after a 2018 victory marred by umpire Carlos Ramos assessing a penalty to...
Williams?
No, -5. Marred by umpire Carlos Ramos assessing a penalty to her opponent. She won the 2019 Australian Open after beating Serena Williams at the 2018 US Open. For 10 points, what Japanese-born player is, as of May 2019, ranked #1 in women's tennis?
Osaka.
That's 10.
Tsubasa.
A painting set in this place shows a woman in a pink fur coat looking at a female dancer who lifts her skirt to reveal red stockings. For 10 points each. Name this place whose name appears 3 times at the top of a poster announcing the appearance of the dancer La Goulou.
Oh, I was going to say Moulin Rouge.
So
The name. Please, I don't know.
Answer?
Moulin Rouge?
Yes.
Nice.
This diminutive post-impressionist created both the La Goulou poster and the painting at the Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, Toulouse-Lautrec, right?
Yeah.
Toulouse-Lautrec.
Yes, Toulouse-Lautrec's painting Au lit les Bassiers is one of his many works depicting these people who worked in places called Maison Close.
Some clothes.
Dancers, I don't know.
I know, painters maybe?
Answer?
Painters?
I'm sorry?
Painters?
No, prostitutes. That is
Oh.
20 on the bonus. Toss it 2. One way to define the Euler-Mascheroni constant is as the limit of the difference between the harmonic series and this function.
Natural log.
Yes, for 15.
Easy.
This song's lyrics urge the listener to let the love we have live on and know that I'm with you the only way that I can be. For 10 points each, name the song which asks the listener to perform the title action each night we are apart and each time you hear a sad guitar.
Remember Me.
Yeah, remember me.
Yes, Remember Me is a song from this 2017 Pixar film in which Miguel is transported to the land of the dead.
Coco.
Yes, Regina Spektor's cover of While My Guitar Gently Weeps plays during the credits of this 2016 animated movie directed by Travis Knight, whose protagonist tells his audience, if you must blink, do it now.
Deadpool was released in 2016.
Okay.
Answer?
Deadpool.
Kubo
Deadpool.
and the Two Strings.
Okay.
That's 20.
Big bar.
Toss-up 3. This man claimed that George Tyler tried to kill him on the orders of New York District Attorney Edwin Kilroe. This man was tried and convicted for mail fraud over a picture in which...
Garvey?
Yes, for 15.
Nice.
Pencil and paper ready. A restaurant meal cost $44.30 for 10 points each. If the bill of $44.30 is paid using $45 cash, what is the minimum number of coins the customer will receive as change, assuming half dollars aren't available?
Yeah, go for it. 4?
Yes. If the customer wants to leave a 20% tip, what amount should they tip?
Okay.
Answer.
$8.86?
Yes. If the menu price of the meal was $40, what sales tax rate was applied to raise the final cost to $44.30? You have 10 seconds and must express your answer as a percentage.
It's 10.75%, I'm pretty sure. 10.75%?
That's all 30. Toss up 4. While working at this institution, Oskar Schlemmer pioneered the use of geometric patterns in dance in his triadic ballet. Students at this institution designed the ADGB Trade Union School under the leadership of Hannes Meyer. This institution was shut down by the Gestapo in 1933, 14 years after it was founded in Weimar.
Bauhaus.
Yes.
Good buzz. Let's go.
The cover of one of this man's novels plagiarized art by Jonathan Earl Bowser for 10 points each, named this former world leader who allegorized himself as the savior of the title character in his novel Zabiba and the King.
Zabiba and the King.
Where are we?
I have no clue. That's a good.
Answer.
Disraeli.
Saddam Hussein. Sabah, the protagonist of Saddam's novel The Fortified Castle, is a hero from Iraq's 1980s war against this neighbor, which at the time was led by Ayatollah Khomeini.
Iran.
Yes, Saddam's book Men in the City documented the rise of this political party to which he belonged. Its name means rebirth.
Bath.
Yes, that's
Nice.
20 on the bonus. Toss-up 5. Values of 8, 9, or 10 on the Torino scale mean that one of these events will take place. These events were unusually frequent during the LHB. Evidence for these events includes tektites and minerals with planar...
Wait, like meteorite impacts?
No, -5. These events were unusually... I read that. Evidence for these events includes tektites and minerals with planar deformation features, such as shocked quartz. One of these events near Chicxulub coincides with the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary. For 10 points, name this type of event thought to have killed the dinosaurs. Yes?
Like a meteor hitting the Earth?
No, I have an asteroid or comet hitting the Earth or impact events.
Protest.
Noted. Toss-up 6. This character regrets not marrying a man who bought Coca-Cola stock when it first came out and used to bring her watermelons with his initials carved in them.
Oh, so character from, wait, is it this character?
Time.
Grandma.
-5. Edgar Atkins Teagarden courted this character who tells a man, "You're one of my own children," before touching his shoulder, owns the cat Pity Sing, and is the last person killed by the misfit.
Sorry.
For 10 points, name this old woman in A Good Man is Hard to Find.
The grandma.
For 10.
Nice.
A passage titled for this object describes Allah as never being overtaken by sleep. For 10 points each. What type of object belonging to Allah is described in the Quran's second surah as including both the heavens and the earth?
Right? A cow. A heifer.
No, the throne. The
throne.
second surah of the Quran is named for this type of female animal considered sacred in Hinduism.
Yeah.
Cal.
It is. One of these records of the sayings of Muhammad states those who recite the throne verse before going to sleep will be protected for the night.
Yeah.
A sanad is a chain of transmission of one of these things.
Hadith.
Yes, 20. Toss-up 7. This country's people often make long toasts at a supra, a type of feast. Tourists visit this country's medieval Gelati monastery near its city of Kutaisi. The ancient Roman region of Colchis corresponds to this country.
Georgia?
Yes, for 15.
Yes.
For 10 points each, answer the following about Viktor Orban. Orban is the prime minister of this Central European country, governed from Budapest.
Hungary.
Orban is a member of this populist political party that has controlled the Hungarian parliament since 2010.
Fidesz.
Yes. In the lead up to the 2018 election, Orban repeatedly denounced this Hungarian-born hedge fund manager and democracy
Soros,
advocate who founded the Central European University in Budapest.
Soros.
All 30. Toss up
Bar,
8.
come on.
The evidential form of this ability was defined and advocated by Charles Parham, who, along with William Seymour, was a key leader of the Azusa Street movement. Paul blessed men
Like speaking in tongues.
Yes, for 15.
Nice.
Go.
This work, which refers to the U.S. as a pig empire, is divided into sections titled with such commands as survive and liberate for 10 points each. What 1971 landmark of countercultural literature claimed that its title crime was morally justified?
Title of crime. What crime?
Murder.
Answer?
Murder.
Steal This Book. This activist and founder of the Yippies wrote Steal This Book.
Hoffman.
Yes. Steal This Book discusses blowing up the policeman statue in this city as an example of guerrilla theater. Hoffman was one of a group of 7 people tried for inciting a 1968 riot at the Democratic Convention in this city.
Chicago.
That's 20.
Nice.
Toss up 9. An explosion caused by this compound and kerosene destroyed the Russian submarine Kursk in 2000. The torpedo propellant HTP is a concentrated form of this compound, which is produced industrially by the simultaneous oxidation of the 2 hydroxyl groups of anthraquinone. This reactive oxygen species is decomposed by the enzyme catalase. For 10 points,
Hydrogen peroxide.
that's 10.
Good buzz.
This is a primary language spoken in the village of Kiryas Yoel, which has both the youngest population and the highest poverty rate in the U.S. For 10 points each. Name this language spoken by members of the Satmar dynasty.
Where is that?
Answer.
Persian.
Yiddish. Kiryas Yoel is a center of ultra-Orthodox Hasidic Judaism in this state's Hudson River Valley.
New York.
Yeah, New York.
Yes. The process behind creating these institutions in Kiryas Yoel was the subject of a 1994 Supreme Court case. Jewish institutions of this type are called yeshivas.
Schools.
Yeah.
Schools.
Nice.
Yes, 20 on the bonus.
All right.
Toss up 10. In a comic opera by this man, the title character is convinced to bless the love of Ernesto and Norina by Dr. Malatesta. In another of this man's operas, a flute usually replaces the glass harmonica called for in a scene in which the title character performs.
Donizetti.
Yes, for 15.
Yes, go.
This
Let's go.
the fictional character associated with this phrase was known as Foo in Australia for 10 points each. Give this ubiquitous 3-word phrase left as graffiti by American soldiers during World War II, often accompanied by a drawing of a man peering over a ledge.
Kilroy was here. What's along the lines of that?
Answer?
Kilroy was here?
Yes. This debut novel by Thomas Pynchon suggested the Kilroy was here drawing was based on a bandpass filter diagram. A group in this novel is known as the Whole Sick Crew.
Is this V? I don't know. V.
Yes.
Nice.
The Kilroy drawing may also have been adapted from this last letter of the Greek alphabet, which is used to symbolize electrical resistance.
It's Omega, right?
Omega.
Yeah.
All 30.
Nice.
Toss up 11. This author commanded, "Get ink, shed tears," in a poem about the month of February. In a novel by this man, a widow who lives at the Montenegro Hotel, named Amalia Guichard, buys a dress shop. This author of the poetry collection, My Sister, Life, wrote a novel in which...
Okay, so that's Rilke.
No, -5. This author of the poetry collection, My Sister, Life, wrote a novel in which Liberius leads a guerrilla band called the Forest Brotherhood. Lara is loved by the title physician. In for 10 points, what Russian authors? Dr. Zhivago.
Pasternak.
10. This quantity can be measured using an isotensoscope. For 10 points each, name this quantity the pressure exerted by a gas in equilibrium with a liquid. It is estimated for mixtures by Raoult's law.
Yeah, vapor pressure.
Yes, the Clausius-Clapeyron equation expresses vapor pressure in terms of temperature and the change in this quantity for vaporization, which is also called the latent heat.
Like enthalpy.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Clausius-Clapeyron equation can be formulated to give the slope of this curve on a phase diagram.
The
On this
coexistence
curve,
curve.
2 phases are in equilibrium.
Okay, whatever.
Safe.
Coexistence curve.
Yes, that's all 30 and the end of the half. Dandy-Walker malformation occurs when this structure's vermis fails to develop. The fastigial nuclei are deep nuclei within this structure, which forms the metencephalon along with the pons. Lesions to this structure, where Purkinje cells are found.
The brainstem.
I'm sorry?
The brainstem.
No, -5.
You're fine.
Lesions to the structure where Purkinje cells are found can lead to ataxia due to its rolling coordinating movement. For 10 points, what structure? For 10 points, what structure whose name is Latin for little brain is located underneath the cerebrum?
Cerebellum.
That's 10. Ludwig van Beethoven's middle period, from about 1802 to 1812, is often called his heroic decade. For 10 points each, the beginning of Beethoven's heroic decade is often pegged to his symphony of this number, the Eroica.
Third symphony.
Yes. During his middle period, Beethoven wrote 3 of these works, known as the Razumovsky ones. His late examples of them include his C-sharp minor 14th, which has 7 movements with no break.
String quartet.
Yes. This middle period work, Beethoven's only oratorio, portrays Jesus' acceptance of his fate before he is betrayed.
Oh no, I feel like I've sung this. Jesus Maccabeus.
Christ on the Mount of Olives, 20 on the bonus. Toss-up 3. Andreas Boridel was killed in the Odeonsplatz during this event, falling on a flag that became known as the Blood Flag. After Otto von Lossow,
The beer hall push.
15.
Good buzz.
This religious group's core principles were laid out in the 1527 Schleitem Confession for 10 points each. What 16th century Protestant group takes its name from its practice of rebaptizing its converts?
Anabaptist?
Yeah.
Anabaptist?
Yes, John of Leyden was executed for leading an Anabaptist uprising in this German city. The treaties making up the Peace of Westphalia were signed in Osnabrück and this city.
Munster?
Yes, a less violent offshoot of Anabaptism is this pacifist group, which split from the Mennonites in 1693. Many of their members settled in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Amish.
Yeah, that's
30,
30.
30.
Toss up 14. These things are described as having a delicate, luscious, ambrosial smell shortly before a group of patrons exclaim in unison, "God, that's good." The creator of these things enviously notes the lack of cats near Mrs. Mooney's shop in a song declaring that these things are the worst in London. Adolfo Pirelli and other victims of a murderous barber,
So like Sweeney Todd's pies.
yes, for 10. The brother of this play's protagonist receives a government settlement due to a head injury he suffered during World War II for 10 points each. Name this play about the former baseball player, Troy Maxson.
Is this Fences? Fences?
Yes, Fences is part of this African-American author's Pittsburgh cycle.
Wilson?
Yes, in Fences, Troy admits to having an affair with a woman named Alberta who dies in this manner.
Oh, lordy. They do drown. People drown.
Answer?
Drowning.
No, childbirth. That's 20 on the bonus.
Go.
Toss up 15. The ABC test for this status lists 3 must-have criteria, including freedom from control and direction. 1099 MISC forms are most often used to report the income of people with this status. Rafe Lawson,
So they're like self-employed?
prompt.
Self-employed, so they're like independent, like freelancers. They like.
Yes,
Okay.
for 10. For 15, rather.
I just
10 points
filed
each
my
answer the following about scientific discoveries of the 1890s. In 1897, J.J. Thomson discovered the electron using one of these devices, which shoot electrons through a vacuum at a phosphorescent screen.
Cathode ray tube.
Yes. 2 years earlier, Wilhelm Röntgen became the first to take a medical image using this type of radiation with a wavelength shorter than ultraviolet rays.
X-ray. X-ray.
Yes, the news of Röntgen's discovery inspired this French physicist's study of radioactive uranium salts, for which he shared a Nobel Prize with Marie and Pierre Curie.
Becquerel.
Yes, that's all
Take back
30.
the money.
Toss up 16. Peasants and these people were the primary consumers of a mixture of wine and water called posca. Septimus Severus and Domitian raised the pay of these people. Non-citizen examples of these people made up the auxilia.
Like army members?
Yes, that's
Nice.
10.
Good buzz.
In 1916, this man died in the sinking of the HMS Hampshire for 10 points each. Named this British general who organized the use of concentration camps and scorched earth tactics to win the Second Boer War.
Kitchener.
Yes, Kitchener's troops won the 1898 Battle of Omdurman near Khartoum, securing British imperial control over what is now this country.
Sudan.
Sudan.
Yes. After winning at Omdurman, Kitchener marched south to resolve this standoff between Britain and France over control of the southern Nile Valley.
What's it called? The Fashoda?
Okay.
Fashoda?
Yes, that's
Nice.
all 30.
Good
Toss
thing.
up 17. In this country, the medieval architect Radovan worked on buildings in the walled harbor of Trogir. 16 lakes are connected by many small waterfalls in this country's Plitvice Lakes National Park. Many scenes from Game of Thrones were filmed.
Croatia.
Yes, for 10.
Good buzz.
In one of this man's tragedies, a warrior remarks how his name sounds like a cry of pain, noting, "Who would have thought it would fit so well with my misfortunes?" For 10 points each, named as playwright of Ajax.
Ajax, Sophocles.
Yes.
Nice.
In 429 BC, Sophocles wrote this tragedy about a king who discovers that a stranger he killed at a
Oedipus Rex.
crossroads was actually his father Laius.
Oedipus Rex.
Yes. In another of Sophocles' plays, Oedipus travels to this Greek village on the
Colonus.
outskirts of Athens to seek help from Theseus.
Colonus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Colonus.
Yes, all 30. Toss up 18. The rule of replacement, called transposition, generates this type of statement. The principle of modus tollens relies on the law named for this type of statement, which holds that an original conditional statement is true if and only if this other statement is also true.
Contrapositive.
For 10.
Go.
10 points each named these scientists who took their own lives. This computer scientist, who led the cracking of the Enigma code, ultimately killed himself by biting into a cyanide-laced apple after being outed as gay.
You say
Oh, they're still on.
Answer?
Turing.
Yes, this Japanese mathematician left an enigmatic note before killing himself in 1958. A conjecture he proposed with Goro Shimura implied Fermat's last theorem.
Oh, Shimura. Yeah.
Answer?
Taniyama.
Yes. After this German scientist hanged himself while on vacation, he was buried under a tombstone inscribed with the formula S equals K log W.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Answer?
Boltzmann.
All 30, toss up 19. One of this man's poems ends by declaring, "The dead shall live, the living die, and music shall untune the sky." The title characters of a biblical allegory by this man represent the Duke of Monmouth and the Earl of Shaftesbury.
This is just like Dryden.
15.
Nice.
The sword originally depicted in this statue was replaced after high winds caused its titanium plating to move and make a loud noise. For 10 points each, and this 280-foot-tall Soviet-era statue of a woman with her arms outstretched.
Pass.
The Motherland Calls, which was built atop Mamayev Kurgan Hill to honor fallen soldiers from this 1943. What?
Wait, the Stalingrad?
Yes. The Motherland Calls was the tallest non-religious statue in the world until the 2018 completion of the Statue of Unity, a depiction of Vallabhbhai Patel in this country's...
India.
Yes, that's 20.
Big mark.
Toss up 20. Was that a timeout?
No.
Okay, toss up 20. The title characters performed this action to chase a bishop in the Leo Tolstoy story, The Three Hermits. A 2017 song titled For This Action states, "It's true I'm a Rubik's a beautiful mess." An ability to briefly do this led to a nickname for the basilisk lizard.
Walk on water.
Yes, for 15.
Nice.
15?
This goddess's ashen box and footwear are tended to by Fulla, for 10 points each. What goddess who creates clouds at her spinning wheel neglected to demand an oath from a mistletoe plant?
Freya? Yeah,
Okay,
so,
you said.
okay.
Answer.
Freya?
No, Frigg. Frigg is wife of this chief god of the Norse pantheon.
Ethan C.
Wait. Yeah.
Answer.
Odin.
Yes. After Frigg's son Balder was killed, this god went to hell in a failed effort to win Balder's release. Balder gave him Draupnir to bring back to Asgard.
Were they asking for me?
The one that went to the underworld.
Answer.
Loki.
Hermider, that's 10 on the
That's
bonus.
fine.
Toss up 21. This force increases when an adverse pressure gradient is big enough to cause boundary layer separation. This force increases gradually with the angle of attack until stalling, which increases it dramatically. It is proportional to
Lift.
No, -5. It is proportional to velocity for laminar flow and to velocity squared for turbulent flow. An aircraft's thrust is opposed by, for 10 points, what force that impedes objects moving through a fluid?
Drag.
That's 10. This reptile, whose name comes from Maori for peaks on the back, was reintroduced to the Zealandia Sanctuary in 2005, for 10 points each. Name this lizard-like living fossil that has a pronounced photoreceptive third eye.
Tuatara.
Yes, the tuatara is the only living animal known to have 2 rows of these structures on the upper mandible, overlapping with a single row on the lower mandible. Yes, one of the roles of the tuatara's third eye is influence over these phenomena, which in humans are regulated by secretion of melatonin from the pineal gland.
Sleep cycles.
Sleep.
What?
Sleep cycles.
I have circadian rhythms, 20. Toss up 22. A lucrative toll road blazed by Jack Dalton ended at Fort Selkirk on this river. Ships stopped at St. Michael near this river's mouth on the all-water route, an alternative to a land route through the Chilkoot.
Columbia.
No, -5. An alternative to a land route through the Chilkoot Pass. Northbound settlers on this river went through Whitehorse before reaching the boomtown of Dawson City. The Klondike flows into, for 10 points, what Canadian river at the center of an 1890s gold rush?
Klondike.
10. No,
Wait,
it's
no.
the Yukon.
Wait, what the?
Yes.
Oh,
Sorry, that was the Yukon River.
Wait, was that Niagara?
It's okay. It's okay.
that was dead.
Okay.
Well, we nagged. Yeah, you know, and then it went dead.
We have 2 more questions.
It's okay.
So they can't
Yeah.
win, right?
Can
Yeah.
we just try to not?
Good job, guys. Let's go. Good job, Robert.
No, I swear that clue was.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
No,
You're
I
okay.
swear the Selkirk is a tributary of the Columbia.
Okay.
Got that?
Could be a tributary of both.
Yeah, but
I don't know how rivers work.
if we were losing, then I would definitely protest.
Okay.
All right, all set after your timeout?
Yeah, I would definitely protest.
Uni, all ready? Yes, we got the substitution. Ready over here? Okay. 31 seconds left on the clock. University lab up 410 to 280. Here's toss-up 23. In 2015, this leader announced 100 concrete steps as part of a 2050 reform plan. In 2006, this man oversaw the merger of his Otan party with the party of his daughter, Dariga. This man remained chair of his country's Security Council when Qasim Yomart Tokayev succeeded him in another office after his March 2019 resignation. The city of Astana was renamed after, for 10 points, what longtime president of Kazakhstan?
Niazov.
Say it again?
Niazov.
No.
Nurbayev.
No, I have Nazarbayev.
Oh.
I guess thanks.
Toss up 24. In a novel set in this country in the Darkshire town of Milton, Margaret Hale falls in love with the industrialist John Thornton. The novel North and South is set in this country, as is a novel that features the profligate George Osborne and is subtitled A Novel Without a Hero. Elizabeth Gaskell and William Makepeace Thackeray are novelists from, for 10 points.
Like Britain?
No, -5. Elizabeth Gaskell and William Makepeace Thackeray are novelists from, for 10 points, what century, including almost all of the Victorian era?
The 1800s.
I'm sorry?
The 1800s.
Yes, that's 10.
You said country at one
Country
point.
and century.
I did say, I said country?
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
you
couple
said
times.
country.
That is unfortunate.
It doesn't matter.
All right. I
Let
am
me
sorry
have it,
about that
dude.
error. I'm going to continue with the bonus as it seems it could not possibly make a difference in the outcome of the game. I do apologize very much for that error, however.
That's okay, Jonah.
Collectively 179 total judges sit on the benches of these 11 U.S. courts for 10 points each. Name these federal courts that have the power to review district court decisions.
Circuit courts.
I'm sorry?
Circuit courts.
I have the courts of appeals. The circuit courts were created. Oh, wait, you said circuit courts, right?
Yeah.
I got that. Okay, that's an alternate. Fine. The circuit courts were created under this article of the U.S. Constitution that establishes the judicial branch.
It's 3. Article 3.
Yes, this largest U.S. appellate circuit covers 7 contiguous western states, Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and the Northern Marianas Islands.
I think it is the 9th district.
Answer?
9.
Yes, that is 20 on the. That is all 30 on the bonus.